Hello, my name is Arun Jain, and this is the 12th interview in a series of videos called Alumni Insights. In this interview, I'll talk to a Kenyon alum. I think this video went really great, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. And if you do, I would really appreciate it if you guys could like and subscribe. It helps support the channel and allows others to also benefit from this material. Anyway, let's begin. Hey Grace, how you doing?
Good, Arun. How are you?
I'm also good. So first off, what was your major and graduation year from Kenyon?
I went to Kenyon and graduated in 2022 with a Spanish bachelor's degree, and I had a minor in dance.
Cool. Next, would you like to share a fun experience you had in college?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, I'll mention the academics and the institution itself. One of the best things about Kenyon was that it's surrounded by, like Arun said, 40 acres of land owned by, it's called the Brown Family Environmental Center, the BFEC we call it, and it's just like a lot of open land that surrounds Kenyon, and a river runs through it. So always in the beginning of the year and the end of the year, like in the fall and late spring when it's still warm, people really use the river and swim in it and have picnics. And before graduation, me and my 10 best friends, we each got inner tubes and connected them to each other and started from one end of the river in the BFAC and floated like a mile or two down the river to the other end, and just had the best day ever reflecting on Kenyon before we graduated. And we stopped at an island in the middle of it and laid on these rocks and jumped in the water. And it's something we've been doing all 4 years, and it's just like a great space that every student can use every day. I literally went to the BFEC every day.
It sounds really fun. Some DIY whitewater rafting.
Yes,
really
exactly.
Cool. Now into the more complex questions. In what ways do the university's culture and values contribute to your overall learning experience? Can you share a specific example that shows this influence?
So I'm going to talk about the culture at Kenyon before the academics. It's a really small school. When I went there were 1,700 undergrad, so like 450 per grade. And the way that this shaped me, the most valuable way that it shaped me, I would say, is that how small the school was really held me accountable in all relationships, like with professors and friends, because there wasn't a week or even a day when you wouldn't run into your best friend, your acquaintance, your enemy, and you just had to be on okay terms with them because, like I said, there's no chance that you won't see them. So it really fostered a culture of friendliness between all people and accountability, because like even if I didn't want to go to class, like I would see my professor that day or the next day. So it definitely makes relationships extremely strong.
Nice. So it's a very tight-knit environment.
Yes.
I like that. Alumni networks can be valuable for career development. How has your connection with fellow graduates and the alumni community influenced your professional journey post-graduation?
So for one, Kenyon is not too far. Well, Chicago being like the biggest city near Chicago, people often call Chicago Gambier West. Kenyon's in Gambier. And so many people from Kenyon go to Chicago, and that has created just a robust social life for me. And I haven't used this, but I have multiple friends who their current job is from an alumni. Like the alumni network is really strong, and if you ingrain yourself in the alumni network group, like while you're a senior at Kenyon, they'll connect you. I mean, you can also do it after you graduate, but they'll connect you to a whole network of alumni that are so eager to hire other Kenyon people, because it really does bring in a certain person. And when you go to Kenyon and then you're out in the world and you meet someone that's from Kenyon, like that is a deep connection in and of itself, even if you're complete strangers, because it's such a unique experience. It definitely brings people together. And there's like a variety of fields that people are successful in from Kenyon. Like it's kind of more well known for theater and writing, but I've heard of people getting jobs through alumni in STEM related fields, writing, theater of course, but honestly all fields. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. So, universities often pride themselves on fostering critical thinking. Can you share an instance where your education at Kenyon challenged your assumptions and led to a shift in your perspective?
Yeah, this definitely happened on a daily basis at Kenyon. It definitely set precedent in my life where I think critically about everything, because professors really encourage questions. Of course, that happens at all of school, but they definitely are fine. They challenge us, and they're fine with us challenging them in a way. Um, I most profoundly remember this when freshman year in a sociology class, the first sociology class I took. Um, we watched this movie it was called Made in China, and it was about about specifically Mardi Gras, and how Mardi Gras every year there's like millions and millions of beads manufactured because beads are a huge part of the holiday, and they're all like made in China. And the movie depicts just how many materials are consumed and then thrown away within a day, and but all the work that leads into that. And so we watched it from a sociological perspective, like kind of critically thinking about consumerism and global influences, or how America relies on other economies or other places to bring in, like, to feed our consumerism. And then so it was pretty like critical of New Orleans. And then I had a classmate from New Orleans who, like, we were amidst this discussion definitely criticizing the gluttony of Mardi Gras, but then like my friend from New Orleans who was in the class said that the movie, given that she was from New Orleans, it really like gave her a bad taste in her mouth, and she felt like it did not accurately portray the cultural significance of Mardi Gras and why people use the beads. And she kind of criticized the movie and honestly the whole idea that the class was sharing, and my professor was explaining. So, and my professor really invited her critique, and it definitely changed my perspective on not just like simply shaming traditions, but like looking at it from both sides. But that happened literally every day at Kenyon. That's just one example in the classroom that definitely like struck me early on freshman year.
So, challenging the norm is very common and it's always accepted.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So university environments often encourage innovation and creativity. Can you share a project or initiative you were involved in that allowed you to apply your knowledge in a practical and innovative way?
Yeah, so I said I was a dance minor, and one of the most valuable classes I took was choreography, which obviously we were dancing in that, but a lot of that class was the preparation that leads to dancing and all that goes into choreographing a dance. And so while we learned the basics of choreography throughout the semester, the final project was actually going out in the community and teaching or creating a dance we partnered with an elderly home, a nursing home, and everyone in the class got partnered with a resident of the home, and mine was Evelyn. She's 93. We're still in touch. And so she was my partner, and I was supposed to choreograph a dance for both of us to do, and I was supposed to make a video about it. And so she was not extremely physically able to dance. So we ended up making a movie, and I was filming her like flipping through her photo album. And so while she couldn't dance, we still like found choreography in the movement of how she told the story of her life, and I recorded her reading some passages that meant a lot to her in her life. And so I feel like the skills that I applied to the practical world that I learned from Kenyon was definitely like accountability and my close relationships, like showing up to the nursing home like twice a week for like a month, and remembering her stories, turning it into like taking bits of her story to put into a movie. And I obviously used like my choreography skills to choreograph a dance like movie. Even though she wasn't dancing, it was like about movement. And I feel like it definitely helped her. I mean, she doesn't have a lot. She has family visiting her all the time, but she ended up like signing up to be a part of the same group the following year. So Kenyon was pretty separate from the community next to it, which was one thing I did not like about Kenyon. But in that, like, it was kind of, it's on a hill, like separate from the other towns, so it seems really separate from the towns like culturally, but there's still ways to integrate yourself like into the outside Ohio community if you put yourself out there, and there are professors that are making that effort. But you definitely have to like seek it out through those classes or on your own.
Yeah, so if you feel, so you got to put in the work there, basically.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you feel isolated. That makes sense.
definitely.
And lastly, how has the reputation of Kenyon influenced your professional life? Have you encountered any specific instances where the university's name opened doors or presented challenges?
Yeah, I definitely get mixed responses when I say that I go to Kenyon. I either get the response of, what is that? Is that a school in Africa? Or I get people are like, oh, I would never go to a school that small. But then there's a huge, I would say like 1/3 of the people that I get responses from like know about Kenyon, and they are impressed that I went there. Because like I said, not everyone knows about it, but the people that know about it know that it's great. So it won't land me connections everywhere, but where it does land me connections, like that connection is strong. And I would say it influenced me in my professional life. I also wanted to touch on how easy it was at Kenyon to get jobs. And all the jobs at Kenyon really value school over the job. So, for example, I worked at the art gallery on campus, and it was there was a variety of jobs that I applied for. Like there was sound technicians that are at the venue where we have concerts. There was a couple restaurants where you can get jobs. You could work at the library. You could work at the cafeteria. You could be a student teacher. You can teach languages once a week. You can help with coaching. But I was part of this team that works at the gallery on campus, and I feel that I had to seek it out. But if you do seek out employment, it definitely makes you job ready for the future. It looked great on my resume, and I got mentors that helped me look for jobs, were great references, and just inspired me to be professional. Yeah. And also, Kenyon is not ranked now as high as it used to be. Like when I went, I feel like I went partially because it was ranked really high, and now it's ranked lower, but I think that's just because there's more kids that go there. Like it's less selective. But it's still, I know that the academics are just as strong. I think the ranking just got lower, like I said, because like they needed more money, so they've admitted more students, which made it less selective, which lowers the ranking. But I know that every aspect of Kenyon is just as strong. There's just maybe more people. Just to say that the rank is not always representative of the greatness of the school.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And also sounds like there are opportunities after opportunities there.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me, Erin.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.